Hello and welcome back to another episode of this week's watches, and this week, like every week, we have a huge variety for you guys and girls, from a Rolex GMT Master to a new Eraord to a Eraord and Konstantin Checkin, a Vertex, a vintage Bulova, Christopher Ward, you name it. This week we kind of have it, which is really amazing. And as always, I have to thank you guys and girls for making this possible. Without you selling to us, consigning to us, whatever it may be, we wouldn't be able to do this, and the variety is definitely what sets us apart, and I think a lot of you guys and girls agree with that, so thank you all very much for making it happen. Now, just like the past couple of episodes, I want to apologise for any background noise. It is incredibly hot and humid in the UK, so air conditioning is on and window is open, and for those of you that have been to the office, we are on Clerkenwell Road itself, which is a very busy and loud road, so in general it's quite noisy, so I do apologise. Now, before we dive onto the watches on the table, let's have a quick look at what's on wrist. Now, I'm wearing a WMT Barracuda is what they call it, but it's basically a 1016 homage with a tropical dial and vintage lume. It's really, really cool. Under £500, I think this is a hell of a lot of watch for the money, and it will be coming for sale, although I suspect it will probably be sold by the time this video comes out. If it isn't, I would say send me an email, info@Kibble watches, referencing the watch and all the details, and I will get it over to you if it's still available. Really, really cool piece actually, and the dial's pretty incredible. I love what WMT do. I've owned quite a few of them. I think value for money, you know, at the end of the day, I think if you're just ripping off a brand new Rolex, that's something else, right? Whereas if you're homaging a vintage watch, and specifically a very unique vintage watch is in a tropical 1016, to find one is very difficult. You're going to be paying tens of thousands of pounds for an honest one, and even then, are you going to wear it? Are you going to want to wear it? You know, it's different for everyone, whereas this offers all of that under 500 quid. I don't think there's a lot to argue with there. Now that all of that is out of the way, let's crack on with what you're here to see, and we're going to start with the Rolex GMT Master, the discontinued black dial, black bezel. Why on earth they discontinued it, I have no idea. I wouldn't be surprised to see it back in the lineup eventually. It's a classic, so let's take a closer look. So the first watch in this week's drop is this awesome Rolex GMT Master II. This is the discontinued black dial, black bezel with the green accents. A very classic looking watch, reminiscent of the vintage Rolex GMTs, obviously without the green, which I think was a really nice touch by Rolex. And it's a shame they discontinued it, to be honest. I do think they'll bring it back. It's too classic of a design not to. It just depends in what format they're going to bring it back. Are they going to bring it back with a Jubilee bracelet, or is it going to stay on the Oyster, or are they even going to do something crazy like put a steel watch on the rubber strap with the GMT? Potentially. That could look pretty cool. But anyway, the reference to this one is the 116710LN, and inside is the automatic Rolex caliber 3186. This watch does come with all of its links and is a complete set, box and papers from February 2015. Does come back with our 12-month warranty, and we can have the watch polished if you so desire. It will come at an additional cost and an additional time frame to the delivery, so do keep that in mind, but it's something we can get done and get it looking fantastic again. We've kept it in its condition of being, you know, quite worn, because at the end of the day, not everyone wants their watch to look brand new, and you'd be surprised and people are always surprised by this, the people who want their watch to look brand new, but there are people out there who would rather a watch look like this than brand new, because they want to be able to wear it and not worry about putting scratches in it. This is a watch ready to go, put on wrist and enjoy. As I say, February 2015, box and paperwork, and it's kind of amazing, you know, these are discontinued, they don't make them anymore, they haven't made them for a little while now, and yet the prices of these are still less than pretty much all the other Rolex GMTs, you know, the Pepsi or the Batman or any of the others. This is still cheaper by a fair bit, and I think there's some hidden value there, to be honest, especially in the fact, as I said, they're not making this one anymore, and they haven't for a while, whereas all the others they're still making. They've done a large case, they've adapted, blah blah blah, newer movement, whatever. To be honest, this is core and it's classic. So let's show on wrist and talk dimensions. And there we go, comfortably on my 7-inch wrist. That is one good looking piece. 40mm by 48mm look to look, 11.5mm thick, and 20mm on the lugs. So classic proportions from Rolex, but obviously in their maxi case, which is this upgraded case. So thicker lugs, thicker everything really, and it just makes the watch wear and look bigger than an older pre-ceramic 40mm, even though the dimensions are pretty much the same. Very well done to Rolex for making that work. So go check this one out on the website today. Now on to the Eraord. This is the Eraord GMT, the Super Seed Atoll Blue Platinum Micro-Rotor. Brand new, unworn, with everything. And this comes with a lot of stuff. Make sure you head over to the website and see the box photo. There's a lot of stuff with this, so let's take a closer look. So next up is this awesome Eraord Super Seed Atoll Blue GMT, or the K2 GMT as it's referred to. And this is a new release from Eraord. This specific model comes with the platinum rotor. So there was a few options you could do when selecting which watch you wanted, including straps and everything like that. This one comes with its bracelet. It also comes with an additional rubber strap, and as we flip it over, that is definitely a beautiful looking movement. Eraord have done fantastic with that, and as I say, that's a platinum rotor. There are a couple of benefits to using platinum on the rotor. The first being the weight and density of platinum. It helps that micro rotor spin around more freely, and it does just produce a better looking watch, in my opinion. Very hard to get the focus right, I apologize, but take my word for it, it's beautiful. Now, as I say, this is a GMT, and you might be looking at it going, well, you've got a 24-hour dial over there, and obviously you've got your normal time, but where's the other GMT? And I forgot to do this for the photo, so I do apologize. But as you unscrew the crown and pull out to the first position, going one way, upwards or clockwise, will allow you to adjust the GMT hand, as you can see. And you can put it straight back over the other hand. So free setting, which is really cool, so you can actually do a true GMT. Going the other way changes the date as well, by the way. You have this two-tone bezel, highly polished on the first 15, and then this really nice sort of brushed finish. Beautiful finish into the case as well. Very, very simple but classic. And as I say, inside is the K2 automatic micro rotor with the platinum, and this one's from May 2023 with its box paperwork, additional accessories, all of which are unopened. The watch is unworn, other than putting on wrist for wrist shots and what I'm about to do in a second to show you on wrist. So let's take a closer look. I can't English today, so I apologize. And here it is, comfortably on my 7-inch wrist. You can see the proportions of this one are fantastic. The integrated bracelet design, even though it's not a true integrated bracelet, but the design makes it look so, and it just wears very, very nicely. So what you're looking at is 39.5mm by 47mm lug to lug, only 10mm thick and 21.5mm at the lugs, tapering down nicely to the clasp. This is a real gem, and again, I can see the appeal. At retail, this works out. The offer we've got it quite a saving off retail, so this is one to consider. Go check it out on the website today. From there to probably my favorite on the table, just in terms of its uniqueness, that is the Eraord and Konstantin Chaykin, a very, very cool watch. Yeah, I mean, if I had the money right now, I'd probably be keeping this for myself. So let's take a closer look. Next up, as I said, we have my favorite. I'll take the little plastic off just to show you for the video. This is the Eraord and Konstantin Chaykin. Very, very crazy piece. Regulator. There's a really long name for it. You can go check that out on the website. But the important thing is this is the 39mm reference, limited to 250 pieces. They did two sizes. Has the purple, and as you can see, you've got running seconds down there, your minutes in the center, and the hours up at the top. Now, as we go around, you will see how this works. 9 o'clock, 9:30, 10 o'clock, 10:30, 11:15, 11 o'clock, and so on, 11:15. So something to keep in mind is this side, the one with the point, is the minute hand, not this side. Some people have got confused. I've seen some of the comments. That is not the indicator, otherwise your hours would look off. That's correct, but that is your indicator for the minutes. And yeah, very, very cool, unique design. This is what Constantine Chaykin is famous for. For those of you that don't know who he is, I'd highly recommend researching. But he is the creator of the Joker watch, basically. A lot of people will know that one. Also the Clown and a couple of others that he is synonymous for. You have this beautiful ostrich strap or alligator. It's like an ostrich style. I think it might be ostrich. Sign buckle. Hints of purple again in there with the stitching. Purple underside. Exhibition case back showcasing modified automatic Solita SW266-1. And this one's also from May 2023 with its box and paperwork, unworn and ready to go. So let's show rested on wrist and talk dimensions. And here we go, rested on my 7-inch wrist. Obviously I'm conscious not to dent the strap too much, so I'm just going to rest it on wrist like so. What you're looking at is 39mm by 45mm lug to lug, 13mm thick and 20mm on the lugs. So endless options if you're not a fan of this strap, but to be honest it goes with the overall design, and this is one unique looking watch. If you're looking for something that really stands out in the crowd, is a lot of fun and just brings some laughter back to the industry, then this is definitely one to consider. And obviously Konstantin Chaykin, a fantastic watchmaker, and Louis Eraord really doing incredible things for the industry. So go check them out on the website today. From there, let's bring it into the center. We're going to go on to the IWC Portuguese. This is the black dial. A very cool watch. I think this is probably one of their most classic modern ranges, obviously other than the Engineer, which they've recently re-released. But for me, I think I'd rather a Portuguese, to be honest. So let's take a close look at this one. Next up is this gorgeous IWC Portuguese black dial, as you can see, with the silver hands and silver indices. Really beautifully done, very classic in design, and adds almost a sport element to this very classic dress watch, you know, with the black and the polished. It really does play with the light and create something quite unique. Yeah, there's not really an awful lot to say about this one. We've had a lot of Portugueses over the years. This is a really wonderful example. The reference is IW371438. This is a model they still make today, and interestingly, this one is from December 2010, with its box paperwork, service history, including a recent service from IWC where it also received a new strap, as you can see, and the overall condition is fantastic after being polished by them as well. So you can rest assured this watch may be 13 years old, but it's been well looked after, comes with a service from IWC and with our warranty as well, as you'd expect. Now behind this this simple case back is the automatic IWC caliber 79350, basically a modified ETA. Obviously a lot of the IWCs now use an in-house movement, and therefore their prices are substantially more, so I think there's a huge amount of value still to be had in these older models and these older references. So let's show this one on wrist and taught dimensions. And here we go on my 7-inch wrist, as you can see, comfortably paired right there at 40.5mm by 47.5mm lug to lug, 12mm thick and 20mm on the lug. So endless options for swapping this one out, but this strap pairing goes perfectly. And even though it's an all black watch, it is a bit on the dressy side. I'd be very comfortable wearing this with t-shirt and jeans. It gives that sporty element at the same time. So go check out this one on the website today. From one classic chronograph to another, over to the Amiga Speedmaster. First, Amiga in space. This is a slightly smaller than the 42mm, different case shape, more in line with the traditional Ed White, as it's often called, the vintage model with straight lugs. Let's take a closer look at this one. Next up, the Amiga Speedmaster, first Amiga in space, based on the vintage models prior, well, right about when they went to space. So this isn't the first Amiga on the moon, which is obviously the traditional Speedmaster Professional. This is the model before that Ed White wore, and many other astronauts as well. Based on the straight lug design model, slightly smaller case. This is still beefed up compared to the original, which was even smaller at about 38.5mm, but really beautifully done, straight arrow hands, just again, really nice. Nice applied logo right there, which is hidden in most of the time because you have to get the perfect light to hit it, to catch it and make it pop like that. So in most lights, it looks like there's no logo there, which is pretty cool. It comes paired on its original brown leather strap with its original Amiga clasp. Beautiful decorated case back. These are numbered editions, and this is number 7496. It does come with an Uncle Seiko bracelet as well, which fits this watch, a nice flat link, which makes it look fantastic. I won't bore you with the reference to this one, it's a long reference, you can go see that on the website, but inside is a manually wound Amiga caliber 1861. That's a movement that's been used across the board for many, many years, and recently been discontinued, being used in replace with a 3861, which is now coaxial. Now this one's from November 2017, it does come with its box and paperwork. It's a very beautiful box, really, really nicely done overall, just like the watch. So let's show this one on wrist and taught dimensions. And there we go, comfortably on my 7-inch wrist. Again, the Speedmaster, it's a classic look. There's a reason people absolutely adore them. So this is 40mm by 47mm lug to lug, 13.5mm thick and 19mm on the lug. So a little awkward on the lug length, but there are options out there. So go check out this watch on the website today. From there over to Panerai. We've not had a Panerai in a little while, and this is the Luminor Marina PAM 00111 or 111 classic Panerai, really great on wrist. I'm a big fan, so let's take a closer look at this one. Next up is this awesome Panerai Luminor Marina. This is pretty much the quintessential Panerai. When people think of Panerai, this is often what they're thinking of. A big black dial with sandwich markers, basically a layer of lume underneath the dial with cutouts in the dial, hence the name sandwich. You have the big crown guard right here which lifts up, and you can adjust the time as such, wind the watch and then push it back down in place. It locks it in place. This was an early way of water resisting that crown, basically putting pressure on it to keep it down, as opposed to all the extra seals which we now have. Very nicely done. And as we flip it over, that is a big Unitas movement inside, but it's called the manually wound Panerai caliber OPX1. This is quite a heavily modified Unitas movement, so it's not just a basic movement, that's for sure. This is the PAM 00111 or the PAM 111. And this one's from December 2010. It does come with its box and paperwork. It is in worn condition. There are some scratches and it has been polished in its past. We can have it polished looking just as good as new again for you if you so wish. But as always, it'll add an extra cost and time frame to delivery. It comes on its original Panerai strap, which is in nice used condition with its big Panerai buckle, as you'd expect. And a lot of people find Panerai, or think they're going to find Panerai too big. But to be honest, it's one of those watches you've got to try on in person to really gauge how it wears on the wrist, because they're surprisingly ergonomic on the wrist. So let's show it on the wrist and tour dimensions. And here we go on my 7-inch wrist. So this is definitely no small watch. Do not get it mixed up. Panerai are not small watches, but they wear well considering the size. The sort of case shape, the lug length, everything about it, it just hugs the wrist, and that's what they get so right, and that's why so many people like Panerai. So this is 44mm by 52.5mm lug to lug, 14.5mm thick, and 24mm on the lugs. These are screwed in by the side, so do keep that in mind with a bar. So you do need to get a strap that is that has thick enough gap basically for the bar to go through, so do keep that in mind. But there's plenty of options out there, so go check this one out on the website today. Now on to Grand Seiko with the high beat white Birch, a very, very beautiful dial. And again, the high beat is just fantastic. 80 hours of power reserve, beautiful movement. This is what Grand Seiko is all about in my opinion. So let's take a closer look at this one. Next up we have this fantastic Grand Seiko high beat, as you can see right there, stated proudly on the dial, 80 hours of power reserve. This is nicknamed the white Birch. As you can see, that dial emulates a birch tree, a white birch tree. Beautiful, really well finished. And again, that's what Grand Seiko just gets so right. Their dials are mesmerizing. Their Zaratsu finishing on the case and hands is just to a level you do not see anywhere near this price point, and it's incredible that Grand Seiko can achieve this and keep achieving it time on time. This is the reference SLGH005G. As we flip it over, you're presented with a beautiful exhibition caseback with a very, very highly finished movement inside. To be honest, this really rivals a lot of the big Swiss players that are competing at far higher price ranges. This is the automatic Grand Seiko caliber 9SA5, and that, as we said, is a high beat, so 36,000 beats per hour movement, which is what creates that beautifully smooth sweep, as you can see. And it has 80 hours of power reserve, which is very impressive. This watch is from March 2021. It does come with its box, paperwork, spare links, everything you'd expect it to come with. And this Grand Seiko is known for being slightly larger than your traditional Grand Seiko, so this is great for someone who maybe wants something with a bit more wrist presence than the traditional smaller elegance range has on the wrist. And also screw down crown, 100 meters of water resistancy on a very solid bracelet. This really is a elegant sports watch that you can wear doing absolutely anything. So let's show on wrist and talk dimensions. And here we go on my 7-inch wrist, as you can see. So what you're looking at is 40mm by 46.5mm lug to lug, 11.5mm thick, and 22mm on the lug, so longer lug width than you'd expect maybe for a 40mm, but it creates this larger watch feel even though it's not a larger watch. Really great, beautiful piece, so go check it out on the website today. Now on to something a bit more affordable from Grand Seiko. This is the Grand Seiko Sports GMT Quartz in black. For those of you that remember, we have the blue dial on the website. We now also have the black, which I believe is discontinued. You can't get it anymore. Really great watch, again for the money, just over £2,000. Incredible. Let's take a close look. Next up with the Grand Seiko Sports GMT Quartz with the classic black dial and red highlights with the red GMT hand and GMT stated in red. Simple and classic dial, not overly complicated. They've not done too much craziness. It's a glossy black dial as well, which is really beautiful, and it contrasts nicely against the steel bezel with the black inlay of the numerals. Screw down crown as well as you'd expect, and this is the SBGN 003. As we flip it over, a simple but well decorated case back with the Grand Seiko emblem proudly stated right there. Behind that is the Grand Seiko Quartz caliber 9F86. A lot of people desire the 9F Quartz of Grand Seiko because it's deemed to be one of the best quartz movements really ever made, and I think a lot of people can attest to that. This one's from March 2023. It does come with its box paperwork, spare links, everything you'd expect, and it is in fantastic condition, worn a couple of times, so do expect a couple of hairline scratches here and there, but nothing major at all. So let's show this one on wrist and tall dimensions. And there we go, rested on my 7-inch wrist, as you can see, 39mm by 45.5mm lug to lug, only 11.5mm thick and 19mm on the lugs, so a little awkward, but there are options out there. To be honest, this watch will look fantastic on a NATO, on a leather strap, on a rubber strap. That glossy black dial really lends itself to be worn however you want to wear it, and obviously the bracelet is a fantastic first choice, so go check it out on the website today. Now on to my second favourite on the table, that's the Vertex M60 Aqua line. This is the no date, again my preferred of the options. Really great looking watch on a very well built bracelet, and overall just a very well built watch altogether. Vertex have done very well with this dive watch. So let's take a closer look. Next up we have the Vertex M60 Aqua line no date, as you can see. Beautifully done, and the first thing you always notice with Vertex is their loom. Now it's going to be quite difficult to capture this correctly with the camera, so I do apologize, but those indices and numerals are incredibly deep and high at 3D loom basically, and it just glows for ages. You have loom on the bezel and interestingly loom on the clasp as well, both in the Vertex logo there and the Vertex name, which is really cool, a nice little touch. Vertex are doing fantastic things. Don over at Vertex is a great guy as well, and I'm a big fan of the brand and what he is doing. That is no secret to anyone who knows me. And also I think this model specifically is a real good runner against the Tudor Black Bay, and I think if you're considering a Black Bay, consider this. Give it some real thought, because I think you'll be very impressed with the build quality, the design, the fit and finish, and I think the package as well is fantastic with the case, with all the extras in it as well. See the box shot on the website for more details. So the reference to this one is the M60ND, which stands for no date, and inside is the automatic Sellita SW300-1, and this one's from April 2022 with its box and paperwork. It is worn, there are scratches, this is a dive watch, so you know, put some wear into it, enjoy it, don't baby these things, don't put them away in a safe. Really beautiful case back as well with an aqua lion, proudly stated right there. Quick release on the bracelet as well, which is a nice touch, and very solid and robust feeling bracelet overall, as is the whole watch and the case, as you'd expect with a screw down crown, of course. So let's show it on wrist and tall dimensions. And here we are paired on my 7-inch wrist, very comfortable. It does have a dive extension as well on the bracelet for when you go diving, or if you go diving. 40mm by 49mm lug to lug, 14mm thick and 20mm on the lugs. These are kind of universal case size, to be honest. This is one of those ones that looks good on my wrist, it'll look good on a smaller wrist, it'll look good on a far bigger wrist. The options really are endless, being under 50mm, so go check it out on the website today. Now on to a very small watch with the Breitling Avenger 2 Seawolf 45mm in Cobra yellow, fresh from Breitling service. It's still got the Breitling service sticker on, brand new strap, and an additional brand new strap, which is very nice as well. So let's take a closer look at this one. Next up is a watch that if you have a small wrist, this probably isn't for you. This is by no means a small watch, but if you have the wrist to support it, this is a fantastic watch that a lot of people recognize instantly. This is the Avenger 2 in Cobra yellow, and that is the iconic, it's the color I think of when I think of Breitling, to be honest. This bright yellow is what I remember as a kid growing up. In the advertisements, in the magazines, that yellow is instantly recognizable to me as Breitling, and this model is one of those watches as well. This is the A1733110. Inside is the automatic Breitling caliber 17. Behind that, solid caseback. It's one of those casebacks that just look mean. Very nicely done. And this one is from May 2016 with its box and paperwork, and is fresh from a Breitling service. As you can see, Breitling sticker still on. It has been polished by them best possible. You will see a few scratches here and there still, and it comes fitted on a new Breitling strap with a new buckle and also a spare Breitling strap as well, which is always nice. So you've got a couple of options there as well. Not really an awful lot more to say about this one. You've got helium escape valve. This is a true dive watch. This is something you could totally use as a real tool for doing exactly what you need it to do, which is being legible as you dive. But it's also one of those iconic designs and iconic looks that's very aggressive, very masculine, right? This is like the epitome of masculine when it comes to watches. Big bold bezel, big bold case, you know, everything about it's big. It's one of those pieces. So they show on wrist and taut dimensions. And here we go on my 7-inch wrist, as you can see. A big watch. Now, call me crazy, but I think I could just about get away with this in terms of size. Now, it's not the kind of size I typically wear, but it's something that, you know, if I wanted to, I reckon I could wear. What do you think? Let me know down in the comments. This is 45mm by 55.5mm lug to lug. This has to be one of the biggest watches we've had. 18mm thick and 22mm on the lugs. So endless options, but one well worth checking out if this is your kind of thing. I think there's a huge amount of value here, to be honest. So go check it out on the website today. From there over to the Christopher Ward C63 Sealander in white on a strap. Again, one of my favorite Christopher Wards, to be honest. Very similar to a Rolex Explorer 2, but different enough that it stands out on its own, and again is really, really well built. So let's take a closer look at that one. Next up, Christopher Ward with the C63 GMT in white with the pop of orange on the text on the dial, and obviously the GMT hand as well. Beautifully done. And one thing Christopher Ward do, which I am a huge fan of and I wish more brands did, is matching that date disc. Down there at 6 o'clock is the date, and you know what, unless you're looking for it, you probably wouldn't realize it's there, to be honest. It's beautifully done and just sort of merges with the overall design. You have a fixed steel bezel, 24-hour numerals, as I say, classic white dial, very simple. Christopher Ward logo at 12, no extra text. I think it's just nice. Really well finished case. Christopher Ward have some of the best chamfers in the game, which just really add a level to the watch, especially at the price point. And as we flip it over, exhibition case back showcasing the movement, which is a automatic Sellita SW330-2 with a modified rotor, as you can see. It comes paired on its original Christopher Ward leather strap. This is like a vintage style aging leather, which looks fantastic. It also comes with a two-piece strap from Christopher Ward. See the box shot for more details on that one. And there are bracelet options from Christopher Ward directly, and their bracelets really aren't that expensive in comparison to a lot of other brands when you try and buy a bracelet. So there's that option to consider as well. This one's from December 2022 with this box and paperwork. So let's show this one on wrist and taut dimensions. And as usual with Christopher Ward, this is where the watch really shines and why people absolutely adore Christopher Ward at a retail level, but also on the secondary market, because the values just are unbeatable, to be honest. So what you're looking at is 39mm by 45.5mm lug to lug, 12mm thick and 20mm on the lug. So endless options for this one if you're not a fan of the strap pairing. But to be honest, it looks really nice. It's super comfortable, and I like the way this leather ages as well. So go check this one out on the website today. And last but by no means least, the final watch on the table is a vintage, and it's a Bulova Accutron. It's a Space View in gold plate. A very, very cool looking watch. And I mean, of all the vintage watches to have in this drop, to be the only one and it's a Space View, that's kind of crazy. So let's take a closer look at that one. Next up, we have this Bulova Accutron Space View, as you can see. Now, the interesting thing with these Accutrons is the design was originally, or at least this is how the story goes, it had a normal dial, and they had in some of the retail shops a display model with the dial like this, where you could see the movement inside. And you got to think, back in the 70s or late 60s, this was revolutionary, right? Like a watch powered by a battery, and this is a tuning fork, so it transfers that power beautifully smooth, very interesting. And they did this just to display basically what it looks like. And apparently they had so many requests to buy this one that they ended up making this as a core model. That's how the story goes. How accurate that is or not, I don't know, but it's a great story nonetheless. And this is a true Space View. Accutron stated on the dial, so no Bulova on the crystal, sorry, no Bulova stated on the crystal. And that is, as I say, printed on the underside of the crystal. So that is the original crystal, and you can see the movement behind there. looking fantastic, and the watch is humming away beautifully. This is from circa 1970. As we flip it over, you'll see the serial and a number code. This is N0. N0 dates to 1970. There is a database where you can cross-reference these for Bulova. You can see a screw panel for the battery, and interestingly, a back wind for the crown. So you can see there's no crown on the case. What you do is you lift up the little lever. You can see a little latch. Trying to do this live on camera is a bit difficult, and it lifts up the lever, and once it's fully up, you'll be able to turn it via the back to change the time. And when done, you put it down and you give it a second and it starts up again. There's always a little delay from when you lock it down for it to go again. So that's how you change the time. Very, very interestingly done, and it keeps this very futuristic looking watch without a crown, right? So very, very cool. Inside is an Accutron 214. That's often in the titles of these watches because it's one of the classics from Bulova with the Accutron movement. And as a lot of you know, Accutron has recently come back in the form of Bulova, really pushing it to the next levels. They're very expensive. The technology is incredible. But to be honest, I would still always go for a vintage one if you can find a nice one. And these gold-plated ones don't come up often. So let's show it on wrist and tall dimensions. And here we go on my 7-inch wrist. A very unique case shape. Again, very futuristic. It sort of lends itself to the name Space View, right? So 37.5mm by 42mm lug to lug, 12.5mm thick, and 18mm on the lugs. So endless options for this one, but go check it out on the website today. So there you have it, guys and girls. Another 12 incredible watches, some real heavy hitters in this drop, and also some stuff you just really do not see often with the two brand new watches from Eraord and Eraord. Really unique pieces, all the way to classics with the IWC and Amiga, and obviously the Rolex GMT as well. There really is something for everyone, and next week we've already got that drop built as well. Some incredible pieces coming up in that one, including a beautiful gold Rolex Datejust complete set, very special piece, and a couple of other very cool pieces as well. And we're already building the following drop after that as well. That's halfway done, which is just insane how many watches we're managing to get in at the moment. So thank you all very much. Thank you for buying as well. I mean, we're still selling lots, which is incredible, especially considering the current financial climate. We're still selling plenty, so I want to thank you guys and girls for that. But anyway, we'll see you all again next week. Take care.